were underdeveloped, or they hadn't achieved a normal development.
So when you say kids, what are you talking about? Are you talking about
14, 15, 16. Yeah, so that's the kids we were working with. Unfortunately, those kids had killed about 16 people. The neuroscience today is about 10, 11, 12. We think that we could help identify and separate kids that are problems versus kids that are just disruptive and are going to grow out of it. If you were a judge and you wanted to know, is this a high-risk kid or a low-risk kid, we could say, this is a high-risk kid. And we now have a tool that can help us understand or can help predict the worst type of things that we all want to prevent, the homicide, the death. What we really want to be able to do is get better and better at predicting, and then that'll help us be better and better at preventing.
science may help identify those who are most prone to evil? But how do you turn your back on a life of evil? I've come to Los Angeles to meet a man who wiped all trace of evil from his life.
All right, buddy, you are all done.
I'm looking for Brian Widener.
Margin Freeman. Brian Widener, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. Very well. How are you?
I am doing well, sir.
Tell me something about yourself. I hear terrible things.
Well, for 16 years, I was a neo-Nazi skinhead.
A neo-Nazi skinhead.
Yes, sir. I was in multiple skinhead gangs. I was an enforcer in one, did some incredibly terrible things to a lot of undeserving people. I was an evil person. I wanted to hurt the world. That's all I wanted to do. I had a sense of just utter destruction for everybody. That was my driving goal.
Well, let me ask you, how did you get to the street? Why were you on the street?
I fell in with a gang, basically, is what happened. I fell in with the wrong people. I was 14 years old, and I was running the streets. These guys gave me a place to stay. They brought me beer, made me feel accepted and wanted. After about my 10th year, I kind of realized this is a subculture of degenerates. I realized I'm not superior to anybody. In fact, I was pretty well a lower form of humanity, you know?
Okay, now we're up to 10 years after you've been running around with these people, and you had an epiphany. Tell me a little bit about that.
Some really just magical things just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Like?
Well, I went to a skinhead concert in 2005, and I met a woman there. And by the January of 2006, we got married. By February, she was pregnant. I had to start taking a hard look at what I was doing with myself. I'm bringing this child into a world. And told him I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I got to take care of my son. So during that time, I made the change on the inside. I actually had to make a physical change on the outside.
How was that?
Let me show you. That is what I used to look like. I mean, my neck was completely sleeved out. My face was sleeved out. I looked the part. I couldn't escape the way I looked on the outside, even though I had already changed on the inside. I got in contact with the Southern Poverty Law Center. They actually set it up to where I was able to get the tattoos taken off my face.
Well, now, I mean, I can see little indications of scars. That more like you were maybe in a fight at some point and you healed up. It looked like you had all this stuff removed. How long a process was that?
It took about 2.5 years. There was 26 treatments, something like that. Every 2 weeks, I was getting lasers at. It was ungodly excruciating. My face was constantly swollen. I looked like the Elephant Man. It was a bad time. And here's actually a picture of me during the process.
That looked like you got punched in the eye.
Yes, it looks like I was a bad boxer, yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like paying dues.
I very much looked at it as a penance, actually, yes.
Okay.
I took the pain as a reminder that I've caused enough, so I might as well have some.
Can you describe to me your sense of yourself in those times in terms of evil?
Looking back, I had absolutely no remorse. I was borderline sociopathic. I had no feelings. I wanted to hurt the world. When I was going through the tattoo removal, I found God. Before that, I was a pagan. And my life was always dark. I always had a hole in my soul, I guess would be the best way to put that. I don't know exactly what his name is or if it's even Judeo-Christian. There is a godly presence in the universe, and it made itself known to me. It may help me realize that there is good and evil in all of us. And my goal now is basically when I just leave this world a better place than when I got into it, just try to be a good person. That's all I can do, and I hope that's good enough.
We have sometimes thoughts that evil just exists and there's no hope. But you represent the hope of the world. That transformation, that complete transformation that you yourself made.
Absolutely.
And for you to be able to just completely turn yourself around like that, it's just very, very encouraging. And I'm honored to talk to you.
Thank you.
Well, I gotta tell you something I've been noticing. You're a good-looking man.
Well, thank you. So are you, by the way.
The outward stains of Brian's past have been wiped away. But I'm struck by the astonishing difference in his two lives on the inside. There was evil in his heart. His admission, deep and remorseless. But, he says, the birth of his son and a dawning belief in God is what purged him of evil. If Brian can do that, gives us hope that people can change. Evil can be contained. This hope is at the core of the Christian faith.
We have gathered today on this riverbank to perform one of the oldest traditions in our faith, that of baptism.
People sin, but those sins can be washed away.
We follow Jesus' example today as we baptize Austin, Katie, Abby, Norman, and Chris. These 5 do this as a sign of repentance and forgiveness of sin. Baptism points the direction to where we are headed, and it's a new start on life.
The Bible tells us Adam and Eve knew no evil until they ate the forbidden fruit. Almost every faith tells the story of how evil begins. Whether we believe it comes from unhappy souls, the devil himself, or the devil within, we all eventually come face to face with evil. But I think we need to know evil because in spite of all the suffering it causes, it drives us to do good. Without evil, how would we have ever developed our unique human characteristics? The ability to express kindness, mercy, forgiveness,